thank you all so much for coming out tonight in the rain to help us launch our campaign to decriminalise abortion. You're soon going to hear from Sonia and Wendy, who are going to tell you why we urgently need decrim. But I just wanted to quickly tell you about some of the other things we've been up to as part of our campaign. So we've been projecting our message onto public buildings in the streets of London and beyond. We're hopefully going to be able to share footage of that with you very soon. But we might be able to give you a little demo tonight as well after the speeches. Our music video, our latest music video is here. It's ready to be released into the world, soon to go viral, I am sure. And thank you to the creative talents of our very own Polly Cohen. And we might just be able to give you a little bit of a sneak preview of that tonight as well, an advanced screening, if you will. We've got the word abortion that's coming on the side of a bus. We've got 6 buses that are set to be deployed across London with the message that abortion is healthcare, not a crime. So if you spot one, do take a picture, send it to us. Make sure you're following us on social media so you can help us share our campaign. We're going to be asking everyone to write to their MP, asking them to support the amendment to the Criminal Justice Bill that should be voted on in February. Which would essentially, if passed, decriminalise abortion for women. There'd still be work to be done. It wouldn't be the be all and end all, but this would be a big step, and it's the most pressing issue right now, so it's really important. So I'm going to hand over to Sonia. So Sonia Adesara is a medical doctor and activist. She campaigns on a whole host of really just causes related to healthcare, from mental health, refugee rights, gender equality, reproductive rights. We're really, really lucky to have her as our spokesperson for Doctors for Choice UK. So over to Sonia.
Thank you. So we're here today outside the Old Bailey in this wonderful weather, because as women and as healthcare professionals, we believe in the woman's right to choice. We believe that it's the woman's right to choose and the woman's right alone to choose what happens to her body. And we believe in that choice to whether to continue or to end that pregnancy is a right that should be afforded to all women. But we currently do not have that right. Many women do not realise that we do not have that right to an abortion in this country, that abortion remains a criminal offence, that a woman can only have an abortion if 2 doctors agree for her to have that abortion, and that abortion happens under strict parameters dictated by the law. Now, we know that this not only is completely patronising towards women, not only does this increase the stigma and the shame associated with an abortion, but it also hinders healthcare professionals' ability to give the best care to women. And we're here outside the Old Bailey because many women do not know that if they're to have an abortion outside of these parameters, or if they were suspected to have an abortion outside of these parameters, or if they were to have a miscarriage under circumstances which the authorities believe to be suspicious, then that woman could be arrested.
Shame.
That woman could have police turn up at her doorstep. That woman could have her home turned into a crime scene. That woman could have her children being taken away from her. That woman could have her phone confiscated, her text messages, data from her health apps being used as evidence in court. And that woman could face imprisonment, prosecuted under a law from Victorian era with a maximum sentence of life imprisonment. Now, this may sound like some dystopian Handmaid's Tale, but this is the reality right now for some women. And we are seeing more and more women being prosecuted. So last year, 6 women were taken to court for suspected illegal abortion. We had 1 woman, mother of 3, given a prison sentence. And this year, there are 4 women who are set to go to trial. So, right now in this country, we have women who are being criminalised, being imprisoned, and being prosecuted for the so-called crime of choosing to end her pregnancy. Now, if this makes you angry, if you, like us, believe that this is wrong, then you need to do something about it. So we need you to speak up. We need you to speak up for all women. We need you to speak up for these women, and we need you to speak up for your rights, and we need you to speak to your MP. Because very soon, our politicians are going to have the chance to change this law, to end this, to stop the prosecution of these women, and to end the criminalisation of abortion. So if you believe in that woman's right, and that woman's right to have an abortion that's free from stigma, free from shame, free from prosecution, then speak up. Join us. Join the campaign. Spread this message and hold your politicians to account. Because abortion is our right, abortion is healthcare, and abortion should never, ever, ever be a crime. And now we have the chance to change this. So please join us, speak up, and let's change this for good. Thank you.
So I'm sure that Wendy Savage needs no introduction to everyone here, but Wendy is a retired obs and gynae consultant and an emeritus professor. She's been a lifelong campaigner for women's rights and reproductive rights, as well as a staunch defender of the NHS. Wendy was press officer and coordinator of Doctors for a Woman's Choice on Abortion from 1977 to 2017, and then became co-chair when we became Doctors for Choice UK. And we're now proud to call her our president. Over to Wendy.
I am of the last generation of British doctors who saw women dying from unsafe abortion in this country. And people who qualified after me, the 67 Act had passed, and within 3 years there were no more unsafe abortions turning up on Friday nights in hospital casualty departments. We don't hear people talking about the fact that the 67 Act was a wonderful piece of public health legislation which led to many women living who otherwise would have died. We just hear the political slogans and a lot of emphasis on the fetus. But the 67 Act transformed the landscape as far as maternal health was concerned. In the 1950s, maternal mortality was led by abortion for the first time, and it remained there until 3 years after the 67 Act was passed. And this was an entirely preventable cause of death. And it's sad that it took so long for it to be changed. And right back in the early 30s, judges and magistrates were expressing concern that women were having to go to illegal abortionists for something that obviously they felt they needed to do to prevent damage to their lives and health. And the question of how the 67 Act was framed, it was very much framed to protect doctors and not really to protect women. It was paternalistic. You had to have the agreement of 2 doctors. And when the abortion pill came on the market, it was made so difficult to use it that it had more restrictions around it than controlled drugs like morphine and heroin. And as if this was such a dangerous drug, if women got hold of it, the whole of society would fall apart. And the idea that a woman is not capable of making a decision about her own body is part of a paternalistic tradition that goes back hundreds, if not thousands of years. And it certainly is time that we got rid of this paternalistic way of looking at women, and they had the autonomy that they should have over their own bodies. Let's face it, it's the woman who gets pregnant, it's the woman who suffers any ill effects of the pregnancy and occasionally actually dies from the pregnancy is the woman who looks after the child most of the time. And if the parental relationship breaks down, then it's usually the woman that looks after the child that results rather than the man. And so it should be the woman who is quite capable of making decisions about her own life and her own body. And so this section 58 of the 1861 Offences Against the Person Act, which is the act which women are being prosecuted under. And that itself is a reiteration of the 1803 Act. So you can see that this is really ancient, archaic legislation to be wheeled out to prosecute women in this day and age. And it is extraordinary that it seems to be happening much more in the last decade than it has in 100 years or so since the 1861 Act. So what is going on there, I do not know, and it's hard to actually find out what's going on. But certainly there is a chance with this amendment that's been put forward to the Justice Bill of a simple amendment to get rid of Section 58 of the Offences Against the Person Act, which would mean that the woman was no longer made a criminal if she took pills or any other noxious substance, as they put it, to end a pregnancy. And that, I hope, we can persuade the MPs would be a humane thing to do. But we've got an uphill battle, so we've got a big job on our hands to try and persuade MPs that they should do the right thing and vote to support Diana Johnson's amendment. So thank you all for coming out in the cold and the rain. And I hope that our campaign will open the eyes of so many people who have swallowed the anti-abortion propaganda that says you can just get an abortion just like that. You can't. You have to go and get the permission of 2 doctors. And sometimes that's easy, but quite often it's quite difficult. And we need to change that and accept that abortion is safe and it should be in the hands of the woman and not part of a criminal process which may lead to her being put into prison with a possibility of life imprisonment, which just seems unbelievable in this day and age. So write to your MPs. If you see the buses, tell your friends, and let's hope that we can actually achieve change despite the terrible political climate that we're living in today. Thank you for listening.